Welcome again to another section, and this is day 2 of CZI Annual Conference, and today was AI for Business. And who better to explain to us what AI for Business actually means than the guys who actually took the masterclass today, and that's Dr. Joseph Yose and Nicholas Jones. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So maybe we can start there. What's AI for Business? Joe, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So AI has been talked about quite a lot. There's a hype in AI, and it seems many people define AI in many different ways. And sometimes when you hear them talk about AI, you are there standing, scratching your head, thinking, oh, is this really AI? But then you think, when I start explaining AI to what they have in mind, it may take a long day or all day. Then you just go, oh yeah, thank you, that's great. So that got us to think maybe there's a space there for us to educate people, business people, executives, and those on the ground on what AI is and how they can actually use it for business or industry. And one of the drivers for us was the fact that many people we speak about, when they think of AI, the first thing that comes to mind, or probably only thing, is that it's all about the chat. They think of ChatGPT.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But that's not all about AI, because that then pushes some of the industry experts away, because they then think, I'm making beverage or something. Why do I need ChatGPT to improve or tell me what to do? So it pushes them away. But there is a lot to AI which drove us to talk about AI.
So let's actually get into it.
Good.
Yeah.
So AI in business, it's all about data. So it's all about using your data to gain insights. Not only gain insights, it's quite a layer. Nick will talk about the layer. I'll let him talk about that. Mm-hmm. But AI or digitalization, whatever you want to call it, is actually a journey. AI is a concept. There is no tool or product called AI. It's a concept, but this concept can make wonders or give you an advantage or improve your process or productivity if you put the right pieces together to create what this AI is. So what AI is, in a nutshell, it's using data, the right data, to solve a particular problem, defined problem. And that data needs to be right. It needs to be good quality data to solve a particular problem faster, much faster than a human can do. So it's all about teaching machines to think like humans and to also make decisions like we do. And a machine is not intelligent. It cannot make a decision if you haven't given it parameters to work with. You need to give it data, numbers in, numbers out, text in, text out. That's what AI is.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for that. And maybe, Nick, you want to build on that, but maybe start off with what you do. And I understand that both you guys are data scientists. So maybe dumb it down a bit for our audience. And yeah.
Of course. So, by trade, I'm a statistician. So without even thinking about AI, the idea is about using data to make better decisions, using data to solve problems and to generate insights. So that's what statistics is all about, and AI is really just an extension of that. It's a way of learning from data, learning about the context of a problem, and then interpreting that data to understand the best course of action, the best thing that we should be, the best thing we should be doing in a given situation. So that's what I've spent the last 18 years focusing on.
So why is it 18 years? Why is it relevant now? In the last 18 years, I didn't know, or most of us actually do know.
In fact, there was a lot of hype about big data, several years ago, and it seemed to kind of fizzle and go away. And so a lot of people are asking the question today that there's a lot of hype about AI. It's in the news all the time. Big numbers being bandied about. The deals. Guys being offered $1 billion sign-on contract.
So send them to us.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. There's a lot of hype, and I think things like ChatGPT and the large language models, natural language processing. This has brought AI to the mainstream and placed powerful AI into the hands of everybody. So there is a lot of hype there, but this is. Sorry, what was your actual question there?
What's been happening over the last 18
What
years?
happened to big data? Was the hype justified, or and when you fast forward to where we are today with all this talk about AI, will it live up to the hype?
Yeah. So I don't think big data ever really went away. And so when I started out, we were using models, so ways of relating inputs to outputs and understanding the mechanics of processes using parametric models, so things like regression. And with the advent of big data, then those models have changed. So we started moving into machine learning, which is a subset of AI, and models that were much better at looking at big data problems where we have large, messy data sets, hundreds, thousands of different variables that we need to process, and as a way of demystifying that data, of separating the noise from the variables that can really help us to find answers to our problems. So this is a core part of what we're doing, and it's something that really would not be possible without AI models, predictive machine learning models.
So what I've picked up is there's the data and the relationships between, or whatever relationships that's actually emerging from that particular data. There's the technology, perhaps as the platform in which you're doing all this. And then there's the predictive models. Have we captured what AI is, or there's more to it?
Well, there's more to it.
So let's get in.
Good. So part of AI, coming back to your question about big data, as Nick has mentioned, big data hasn't gone away. It's machine learning thrives on big data, and machine learning is a big subset of AI. And there are quite a number of subsets of AI. Deep learning is one of them. Neural networks is one of them. And all these topics, if we look at them independently, it may seem as though they are long forgotten or long gone. But AI, like I said, it's not one thing. It encompasses all these subsets to create something that we can then call AI to solve a problem. It also involves a greater part of what many users of AI forget about or don't think about that much, which is domain knowledge. And this is where AI makes a difference, especially for AI for business or AI for industry, which is part of what we were talking about today, that you shouldn't expect to just pull your data, give it to an AI model and expect answers on how to improve the taste or the quality of your beer or your drink or whatever it is. It needs context. Domain expertise, domain expert is needed for to make sense out of AI.
So in other words, I'm not going to lose my job.
No, not for now, but it also depends what you're doing, It also depends on what you're doing. Well, for now, we do need humans. If anything, humans do complement AI. It's just speeding up the time to market, speeding up process times. Where we needed 2 years to do something, it can do it. If we give it enough data to learn, it can do it quicker.
So let's get into it, because I'm an economist and I want to know, why are we doing this? Why are we spending so much money on AI? Is what we're looking for, is it output in terms of efficiency, in terms of productivity, or in terms of actually a new paradigm altogether, which we haven't really looked at? So, let's say pre-AI was black and white TV. And then post-AI is like color TV, or you're just making a better black and white TV. What exactly are we talking about in terms of output?
To start it off, so we focused a lot during our talk today at the CZI on the levels of maturity in terms of analytics and AI. So at the bottom level, we're just really trying to gain visibility over what's happening. I just want to understand what do my processes look like? What does my productivity look like? How efficient am I? The next level then is to apply diagnostics to that, to understand not only what the things look like, but why are they looking like that? Mm-hmm. What is the reason that my productivity is falling? Why is my efficiency better this week than it was last week? What are the driving factors and the mechanics that are causing this to happen? Then we move more heavily into AI and machine learning as we start to look at predictive analytics. So the ability to predict or to forecast what the future is going to look like. I can then start to anticipate and to mitigate risks and so forth.
Okay.
A level beyond that, and we're looking at prescriptive analytics. So I'm not only forecasting or predicting what the future looks like, but I'm able to prescribe action. So I don't like what next week is looking like for me. But if I do X, Y, and Z, I can make that look better. I can avoid negative circumstances or optimize these outcomes.
Okay.
And then that final stage, which is very heavily based on AI, is self-optimizing systems. Systems that can not only find a problem, but understand how to fix it, and then can apply that fix automatically. So we have a situation where we don't need direct human intervention. We still have ideas of, governance and maintenance and things like this, but you have the ability with AI to make very quickly intelligent decisions that can drive a lot of the KPIs that are important to any organization, particularly things like productivity and efficiency.
Okay.
So from a Zimbabwean perspective, if you think about us in terms of the history of adoption of technology in the country, you'll find, for example, in the world of telecoms, we lagged the rest of the world badly when it was a fixed line universe. And then this new technology called mobile telephony came through, and we leapfrogged because the private sector came in, and we now have 100% penetration, and more than 100% penetration in terms of the usage of mobile phones. And on the back of that, we have extensive usage of mobile money. So we kind of leapfrogged the rest of the world because we were so behind. And so I just wanted to give you that context and to ask the question when it comes to AI, which is there low-hanging fruit for a country like Zimbabwe that in many ways lags the developed world, right? We are still a third world country, but does AI offer us any opportunities to make similar leaps like we did when mobile telephony enabled us to be much more networked than we were in the old dispensation?
I think there are lots of opportunities. If you think of, in most cases, AI is coming to organizations in cases whereby they are taking the tool, AI as a tool, and they are giving it to the organization. Then they look at each other and say, we've brought AI to the organization. So what do we do? Where do we use it? Where do we need it? Whereas it should be the other way around. What problems are you looking to solve in your company? Forget about the tools, but just think of the problems that you need to solve. Is it productivity? Is it to reduce costs? Is it maintenance of your machines or whatever? Then with that, think of what you need, the tools you need to solve it. And that's where AI come into play. And in Zimbabwe, what I notice, correct me if I'm wrong, there is lots of, in some sectors, intuition when it comes to making decisions. It be productivity decisions or quality. It's a lot of, this has gone wrong. I think it's this. Now, I've experienced this before. And there are lots of opportunities to use data-driven decisions. And this is where AI thrives on.
The problem is our data. Data integrity is a big issue.
That's a very good point, and that's something we touched on earlier, and maybe Nick can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's that foundational element where any AI deployment will fail if the foundations aren't there. So it's about focusing around the business problem that we're trying to solve or the opportunity that we're trying to realize. It's about data capture, so capturing the right data. Artificial intelligence is not intelligent. It's entirely dependent on the data that we feed it and the way that we're training these models. So we need to capture the right data and provide the models with the context that they need to work effectively and to deliver value. We need to validate the quality of that data. But poor quality data, inaccurate or imprecise data can bias an AI, and it will ultimately lead to poor decisions. So we need to validate that the data we have is representative of what it's measuring. And then it's about centralization. Your data does not exist in one place. It's typically siloed and spread around and inaccessible. So how can we then centralize this data, bring this data together, prepare that data, enrich it, transform it, and create that foundation where we can extract the maximum value from that data? And it's the organizations and the countries, the economies that are able to best do that will realize the most value from AI the most quickly.
Okay. So all I'm hearing at this point, if I'm the CEO or in senior management, is cost. Because, number one is data integrity. And the opposite to that is an intuitive guy who's been doing it for the last 50 years. And then you come to me and you say, well, you need to improve on your data integrity. And I'm like, okay, I'm paying him $250. And so far we're surviving, we're okay. So that heuristic is somewhat working. And then you're telling me I need to spend now on ensuring I clean up my data in data warehousing and all this. How can we really motivate the senior managers in Zimbabwe to actually to look at it differently, to say, you know what, we know how you've been going about it, and yes, you survived, but maybe there's a new world out there, and this is better for you.
Yeah, I mean, what happens when that person with 50 years experience retires and all of that? Because they might be acting on intuition, but a lot of that intuition is correct. That person who's been working as an operator for 50 years has a lot of knowledge and value, and we need a way of capturing that. But to your question, to answer your question, why wouldn't we change? So manual processes are slow. I have a person that has to go and grab data from different places and manually prepare and combine this data, and then we have to analyze. And the time it takes to respond with these kind of manual non-AI processes is slow. So when there's a problem, we're detecting the problem late, and it's costing the business money, a lot more money than it would cost to establish good data pipelines, to clean data, and to build high quality analytics and AI. If taking a longer term view, this is a no-brainer in terms of return on investment and future-proofing an organization.
Okay. Have you worked with certain companies that we could use as an example for Zimbabwean companies to say, okay, these guys were facing the same challenges that you guys were doing, are facing, and this is how they bridged the gap, and this is how they've moved forward?
Quite a lot, a number of companies actually. So a good example is sometimes you think when you're looking at companies in Europe, you would probably be inclined to think they are right at the top of the maturity curve that Nick was talking about. But some of those are actually struggling at the bottom to get their data together to create a single source of truth. And that alone is creating value in some of these companies. A good example is from research with KPMG. They've realized that for the CEOs, an investment in AI, if done correctly, it can bring return on investment in a year. Like this, almost 20%, 19% return in a year. In 1 to 3 years, can go up to 69% return. And we've seen this with some companies we've worked in the EU. We work with lots of companies in the motor industry. You just think of popular Macs in the UK. We've worked with them, or we work with them actually, to do the same. Without mentioning names or picking one name at a time, because we need permission from these companies. But just think of the cars you use in Zimbabwe. Most of the popular Macs, we work with them. Just think of how we got here. We flew here. We work with these companies that make these aircraft engines to improve efficiency. And some of the information is public. For Rolls-Royce, for example, it has improved the costs on an engine, millions a year that they actually spend or to maintain their engines. That has been wiped out because of these methods we're talking about.
So just help me and correct me if I'm wrong. Well, and I really want to understand this. In the 80s, this was Six Sigma lean technology, that was the sort of nomenclature that we used. Is this part of AI, or we've moved on from there, but we're still using the same principles?
You can still view it within the same framework. Six Sigma, it's a structured way of problem solving. Let's define the problem. Let's measure the benchmarks. Let's analyze and look for relationships and root cause analysis. Let's then implement improvements. And AI is a part of that toolkit. It's a part of the way that we can go about problem solving. It's something that's just enhancing our ability to solve complex problems.
Okay, so in Six Sigma, you get a black belt. What do you get in AI?
That's a good question.
In AI, you get an expert having gone on a course on YouTube for 2 weeks. Self-certified AI experts.
Yeah.
But just to add to what Nick was talking about in terms of Six Sigma, if we've been talking about data quality or the integrity of data, some of it is to do with Six Sigma. When you're talking of measurement system analysis, you're checking if your data is accurate, if your data is precise. That actually fuels a good AI model. Without checking those things, you are probably putting garbage in, garbage out for AI. And so you find then in that case, Six Sigma is a big part of AI. Like we said, it's a journey. So it's right at the bottom, but very important in creating founding principles that get your AI model to perform good.
So ChatGPT is credited with capturing the public's imagination, as far as AI is concerned. So if you look out into the future, what do you think the next big product out of the AI revolution is going to be that will similarly capture the public's imagination?
Well, the hot topic at the moment is agentic AI, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's very true.
So what is agentic AI, and how will it change our lives?
So you're talking of now, like you guys are colleagues, you work together, okay? So if you want a third person to be on the table as part of your team, you can now employ a digital person, who can work like you, but as in the digital form, digitalized form. So that's all it is. It's a digital colleague or digitalized colleague.
Apart from you don't need to pay them.
Yeah.
And they won't drink your beer.
That's very useful. Very useful. So what's been the feedback in Zimbabwe when you talk to the CEOs? Just a bit of background. A lot of them are, on top of their heads is the issue of smuggling, goods that are being smuggled. That's what they're worrying about. And then you guys come in your suits and you guys are talking about AI and how you can improve everything. What's been the feedback?
I mean, the feedback we've had so far has been really fantastic. We've had some great engagement, lots of really good questions, a lot of interest. And my feeling is that there's an obvious momentum globally towards AI and the opportunities and the risk of not realizing those opportunities. And I think Zimbabwe is just the same as anywhere else in the world, that opportunity is there, and there's a desire to grab it whilst before we fall behind, before we to become a leader rather than a lagger.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Joe, what's been your experience?
Yeah, sure. It has been very, very positive. But all I would say, just to talk about the other side of the positive we've had, is CEOs are very positive. But like you mentioned before, they then think about the costs and slow down in their initiative to push AI through, or they are slow. The reason being they think it's very costly, but it's actually not very costly if you do it properly. You don't need to employ these third-party big AI performers in the market. Sometimes some of the talent, you can have it in-house. A good example is what we've been talking about Six Sigma. Most CEOs would think, that's a thing of the past. For AI, we need something automated. But you can actually implement some of these tools in-house using the people that you already have. Maybe all you need is an investment in terms of training. Just upskill these people in what to do, which is cheap. Just training them, and then you'll be there.
Fantastic. And then because there's a CZI conference, is there a case study or elsewhere in the world where we could look at AI and adoption of AI as a cluster or as an industry?
Oh, I don't know. What do you reckon, Joe, to that one?
I think there's loads in the medical field, for example. A good example is if you think of the times of COVID, you know, how long does it take to create new medicine, commission it, test it and get it out there? But in COVID times, we didn't have 15 years. We were limited in terms of time. Otherwise, the medicine wouldn't have been helpful to anyone because it would have been wiped if we were to wait 15 years. But because of some of these tools, machine learning, predictive analytics, AI, and all these other things, that time was cut down. Speed to from R&D to out in the shelf was reduced massively.
Okay, so there are opportunities to
Yes.
collaborate and to, as an industry, and to
Correct.
share ideas and then to create, maybe CZI could create that platform.
That's the biggest, I would say, advantage that you can gain or get when it comes to AI. Collaboration is the key. You know, not only collaboration between industry experts, you also need collaboration from academia. You know, they are doing some of the research for you. Work together with them. Work with people in the industry who've got domain expertise, and work with scientists, data scientists, and mathematicians, statisticians. Come together with industrial expertise, then
Okay.
you'll move forward.
Okay, so now I'm very curious. If you were to get a team, a really good, best-in-class AI team, who do you have around the table?
That's a good question. So, we need data scientists. We need people that understand the mathematics and the models, the statistics. But it's, as Joe referenced earlier, it's the way that we're joining that with the domain knowledge, the domain expertise. We're applying AI against a problem. And we need people who are representing that problem and who understands the technicalities of that side of things as well. So it's those two halves, the technical and the domain, and the way that they're joined together is what's most important.
Nice.
So a lot of the guys in our audience are parents, and one of the challenges that they have is just imagining what the world looks like tomorrow and what vocation will be relevant in a world that is changing so rapidly. So if you're advising a young person that's thinking about, a career that's going to be relevant, 5, 10, 15 years from now, what would you advise them to study?
I would definitely advise them to host a podcast.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, Joe?
No, it's a good question.
Yeah. So I would say it's really important to think, it's more like come back to the same problem, that we start with a tool, then think of what do we do with the tool. You should always start from your, what is of interest.
Trying to solve?
Yes. What is of interest to you? And what problems are you trying to solve with that interest of yours? Then I don't think if you study whatever it is where you've got an interest, you will have a part in AI. It's not all about coding. It's not all about maths or statistics. It's very important because we have a shortage in STEM-related subjects. But other areas as well are equally important. If you're passionate about it, you will definitely find a gap to fill, even in the AI field. Because even in AI currently, they are looking for experts in psychology. They're looking for experts who can just write. They're looking for experts like you guys who can talk to help build a model that can behave like a human in many different aspects of humans. So everyone has a part. Just do what you're passionate about.
And just to add to that, I think, AI will permeate almost every field and industry as we go through the coming years. So I think part of, in my opinion, what is needed is to build in at least an awareness of AI into every student's curriculum. Every student should know how to use AI and how it can help them to bring more value to their role.
Yep.
And in sport and in culture, how is AI developing, and what are we likely to see in the future?
Ooh, that's a big one, because let's just talk about, the simplest one is sport. Okay, when it comes to AI, you can use it to your advantage. I may want to become a footballer, but I've got a few weaknesses. So AI can teach me, can look at my weaknesses, my strength, and tell me how to manage those weaknesses for better value. You know, we see athletes using it quite a lot. Footballers, some of them use it when they're training, just to concentrate. Instead of training and have 1, 2, 4 steps every day, it may tell you maybe you need 1, 1, 1, 2, 4 today, so that you concentrate on the weaker points, bring them up to the same level as your strength. That's in sport. In culture, at the moment, we tend to think or have a misconception that AI knows everything. There is still some gaps in knowledge in AI, and culture is part of it. You know, when you ask a question, it should contextualize just as humans do when you're speaking to someone from a different part of the world. A good example is when it comes to sign language. It depends. You nod your head up and down. Here in Zimbabwe, it means yes. In another culture, it means no. You know, thumbs up for good. Here,
it's in India, right?
Yeah. In another culture, you see. In another context, you put a thumbs up to say, yes, it's good. You're swearing, you know? Yeah. And so that side hasn't been fully incorporated into AI. And the more we have that, the more AI respond to us in a way that we understand. Because it's now talking in my own terms, in my own language, depending on who is talking to it or communicating.
Nick, you want to add to that?
No, I think that was a really good answer from my perspective.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So it's sport will be more exciting, more competitive. Is that what I'm hearing?
It depends on what you're looking for. For example, VAR, whatever you call it, some people appreciate it, but some people do not like it in there because we were so much interested in these sportsmen, strikers who get to the goal, they score with their hand, no one sees it, it's your team, you're happy that they are sneaky and all this, but because of VAR, that doesn't happen anymore. But those who are looking for fairness in sport are really pro for it. So when it comes to sport, I think it's it can be confident.
It's happening a lot already, but there's so much data that is collected around sport. Yeah. I follow football, and every single kick is logged and recorded. So I think already for quite a long time, big football clubs have been using data and AI, machine learning models as a way of optimizing tactics and strategy, but also, for example, new player acquisitions. Who is going to, not who's the best player on paper, but who's going to integrate with the team in the best way.
Best fit. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. And to our audience, thank you very much for joining us day 2. The topic was AI for business, and you heard it first, we will need people who can talk.
Shout out to our sponsors, Delta, BAT, Old Mutual, and Kefalos.
Cheers.
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 Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That was good.